Welcome back to the Talk About Purpose podcast. I'm Matthew Huey.
I'm Brian Harper.
I'm Frank Curry.
And today we have special guest Dan Edmonds, owner of Pleasant Valley Landscaping.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of
it.
course.
Yeah.
So Dan, first of all, we use your space here, and we want to thank you for that, for being a gracious host to
Absolutely.
us. We
Yeah, we
really do
appreciate it.
appreciate you doing that.
Very nice.
Yes, and for the listeners and for us, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. 41 years old. Birthday's April, so spring chicken. And then born in Pottsville, so I'm from Schuylkill County. I love it. Family-wise, married with my two beautiful daughters. And I love business and got to know Harper through working together. And that's why I'm here today. Yeah.
April is the best month to
Oh,
be
dear.
born in.
I'm a
Yeah.
Junior.
You're a Junior?
August.
Yeah, nobody's
Best.
perfect. It's all right.
No.
I have two girls as well, so I understand what you're going through.
I only have my
Yeah.
first one. I got my first girl, and she's already a handful, so I don't know how you guys do it.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, 5 kids. That's-
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Brent, like he's about as Matt, so
Yeah.
I just keeps pumping him out.
No, we're done now. That's over.
Pull-out game is weak.
It's over. Only one plan. So yes, you are correct.
It's some swimmers.
Oh, what's nice is they help me around the yard. That's for sure.
You're practically an Amish.
Basically.
Or a Mennonite or something. Yeah,
So-
there you go.
Mennonite.
Yeah.
Mennonite.
Yeah.
No, I went and got a vasectomy. I think Lydia was like 6 months old. And like after the third, like waiting for her to get her period and freaking out. I'm like, why are we doing
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Is it? I'm done.
That's kind of where I'm
There's
at.
no
Yeah.
way. And then we made the decision. I went and did it. And thank God, man, just to knock that worry away.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, holy
Podcast was totally worth it for me. I want to call my dog.
No, I'm not. No,
I have two.
man.
I'm good. 41.
It's not bad, dude. I got mine on a
just-
Friday afternoon, and that way I listened, listened to doctors and didn't do anything. I sat there, ice packs on, did absolutely nothing. And by Monday, I was back to work. You got to watch it. Like, you can't go like jump on a trampoline by Monday at 8 o'clock or doing dumb stuff. But like, you're sensitive for a while, but it was not as bad as I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. But so Dan, you have Pleasant Valley Landscaping.
Yes.
What got you into landscaping?
Well, I loved being outside. I mean, that was pretty much like what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be outside working. And I didn't know, I grew up on a farm, so I like really honestly wanted to be a farmer. But I realized like I don't have 10,000 acres and 20, $1 million tractors given to me. So like becoming a farmer like wasn't going to happen. It's in the reality of it.
Yeah.
Because you got to grow stuff and need land to grow stuff, and it's too expensive. And I farmed with my Uncle Kevin, and we all kind of had different jobs, but like the love of farming is like where we, centered everything around. And I went through that like anxiety, and we were just I was at a conference this spring about, the education system in this area and how there's going to be this big shortage of skilled laborers. And any kind of laborers, period. And I, at that time, like everybody else, like, you got to go to college.
Yeah.
You have to go to college or you're a piece of shit. Like, you're dumb if you don't go to college.
Yeah.
So went to Penn State, made it 2 years and tried to figure out how to get out and at least have some kind of degree. And I got out with associate business.
Okay.
I like in my head, like wanted to be like an accountant or something. Like I wanted to get off the farm, but like I knew like what I wanted to do, but like that's not what they tell you in school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Kevin was in the iron workers. So he was like pro-union guy. I had another best friend of mine at the time. His family was pipe fitters. So like they were the only kind of people that were like making money and working. Like, like making a good living. Like back then they were getting like $25 an hour, which was like crazy,
Yeah.
So I went through a period where I had like severe anxiety. Like, I mean, like stomach ulcer shit on trying to figure out, like, I need to make a decision for the rest of my life, what I'm going to do. So I had this, I don't know what you call it, like an epiphany, or I just made a decision that I wanted to go into my own business and I'm gonna do it. Now, backtracking a little bit, I did work for another landscaper through college.
Okay.
And I loved it. And he's a good friend of mine, but like the mistakes he made challenged me, and I could see what I wanted to do better. You could say that. You could always be like, oh, I could do this better, but like to really go all out and do it, it's a different thing. And then being with, those kind of people and in business, like how could I even get there? I had a good friend in banking. We decided to put a business plan together and go for it and try to get a loan, start my business. Went for $100,000 loan, get 2 trucks, a tractor, and a trailer, and all my start off. But at the same time, I was still like back and forth, didn't know if it was going to happen. And I ended up going to take a test for the pipe fitters union down to Philly, drove all the way down for the big, deal, sat there in the room, 50 other guys, and took the test and thought, yep, this is going to be great. And like the economy took a complete nosedive. And that year they didn't take any apprentices. Get the call, hey, you graduated first. I'm going to get taken right away for they come in. I'm like, well, you scored first out of all those guys that were down there. So awesome. You're in the first line to go.
Awesome.
Wait. I guess but no more line because there's nowhere to go. Gotten down to school for the next year. Like, oh my God. So my Uncle Kevin, iron worker, down to Reading, go down to the Union Hall down there. They're going to take a couple guys. Why don't you take the test? Now I know more people there. Go down, take the test, get the call. Hey, we're going to take 2 guys. You're number 1, and we got number 2. Just got to wait till the school, same thing, kind of economy's not doing good, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to wait a little bit for, the school start back up. Okay, this is great. We're going on, thinking about it. Meantime, now I go and, going to do this loan thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to start my own company. And in the meantime, I was working on the side and making more than I was else.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, this was my drive, to do it. And some of the customers we had were through a health network in Pottsville, and I was working for a doctor. We still work for it now today. And they said, listen, we want somebody we could trust in a conversation having, like I was telling me, I want to do this business. Well, if you do it, we want somebody to trust. We'll take you on. And we'll talk to all of our friends, and we'll just have a somewhat of a customer list. All right.
Sounds like some of those things that happened, not working out, were actually like a blessing in disguise for you. Because
this gets good. This is where I'm going to. So I didn't hear back from the union all winter long. Like, well, I'm going to get kicked off in the spring season. So call the bank. It's like February. I'm going to go. We're doing this. Go to the bank, and I put all my papers in, met with the loan officer, put everything in, signed my life away basically for and that was at like 11 in the morning. Home, I look over when I walk through the door, answer machine. Go over, hit play on the answer machine, and it was the local 420 calling me to say their classes are going to start.
Wow.
And I'm like, if that call would have came Friday, I probably would have never went down and applied for that loan. And it was tough because I had to let everybody down. My uncle and all those guys that like kind of got me in. I'm like, listen, dude, this isn't happening. I'm going to do my own thing. Weird little shit like that happens.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
So,
that guy didn't call me Friday. He called me Monday, and
that's amazing.
Hours.
So your inspiration for then switching from taking a secure job to going into your own.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration behind leaving that behind? Because you could have gone either route then.
I can't work for someone else. Like I even have a hard time like working with other, like when I have somebody talk down to me, like anything, like people that abuse her, and like to work for somebody else, like you got to take that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of crap. Like if I would have worked for somebody else, I probably would have.
Yeah, that's what's nice about working for Dan too, because when we're out on jobs, and there has been a few instances where even our customers are very like degrading to us sometimes, and working for Dan, like he doesn't make us like put up with it. Like there's a line that you have to like draw a line, and not always put up with that stuff. But Dan usually like he'll stick up for us. That's what, that's why I really I enjoy being here. I don't mind waking up and coming to work in the morning because, I know the owner of our company has our back.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a problem. Like I'll get to the point where I'll want to fight somebody. You know what I mean? Like I redline real. I just don't like it. Like you don't do that to us, or me or my wife, anybody. Yeah. It's like,
sounds like an alpha.
Well, dude, that's what I've been thinking this whole time. This is all alpha mindset going on here.
Yeah, but it's easy.
That's
I know.
Good, though.
It's also like, I don't want to say it's cliche, but it's like easy to get along. Like it takes effort to be an asshole.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Like it's like grumpy, begrudged people. Like there's something going on there, and like don't take that out on me. You know what I mean? Like I'm coming here, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm trying to be as nice as possible. Let's get through our day. We have to work together. And like when somebody like spouts off and starts right away, it's like the clock starts in my head. I'm like, all right, you got about a minute to get through this, dude, or we're gonna go for a walk. It's like, I just don't like it. You just don't do that.
I like that logic. So
yeah, heck yeah. So over the years, your business has grown.
Yeah.
How do you find ways to keep your business growing?
I think this is probably what I was, coming up here in the next year, I think is going to be my fourth or fifth economic downturn that we're going to see. And there's like a balance of expanding means going into debt pretty much like when you're in a business. Yeah. So it's scary. You almost need to make sure that you're to the point where you can't, like we're purchasing some trucks right now, but it's to the point where we literally have to like sit on each other's laps to get to work. And it's like I wait till that last straw's about to break before I go and take the next step. Or I make sure the contract's signed before I go out and buy the next tractor that's going to be at that lot. So like you got to take risks, but they got to be like very, very, very calculated because like failure is loss. And I can't afford, that's what it comes down to. So now also luck, got to have some luck. That's a big part of it too. But growing your business is just knowing when to strike, I think, and then putting yourself out there. Like also how much do you want to grow? Like I wouldn't be, doing Facebook and all this stuff and having websites and really trying to be out there and all over and putting my, emblem all over all the trucks if I didn't want more business.
Well, Frank, you've talked about pivoting your focus on things quite a few times, and that's something that I think you were good at doing. Like you did landscaping and then you moved to like food plots and things like that. So you're trying to you're taking that market, you're trying to master that market, and then you're moving to another, like some other division, like in your expertise, like in your field.
Yeah. And I think there was a pivotal moment where I got a contract down Allentown with a network, with a large group of hospitals. That was the big jump that I had to make. It was either like shit or get off the pot at this moment. Like I have something I tried for 2 years, didn't get them. And then finally the third year I got my big chance. And that's been like our anchor contract. Now at the same time, when that contract came around, I also got married and had kids, and I had a lot more to prove at that point. It wasn't just about me. And it wasn't just about, what I want and if me taking off, and I had to make a decision. Like, I'm not like going hunting every day for 3 months like I used to. Like you need to go hunting every 3 weeks now because you got to be working 15 hours a day driving around.
Opportunity cost.
Sigma to an alpha.
Opportunity cost though,
exactly.
right?
I also met along the way a lot of amazing people that I work with, and to see them have families. So now that drives me to go and get the kind of work that pays for this.
Because you take on that responsibility of them too.
Yeah. So like the old, I'm not putting mulch around, 2 bushes anymore. We need to go for the big stuff and yet find an avenue to fly where you're going to still do the little stuff, but you can really do the big stuff. And we're in a weird market right now, the economy, where a lot of people are short in labor. We have the guys to be able to go in and knock stuff out, and people are hiring us just on, these guys are awesome. They work hard and they're just going to get it done. It's stuff that we don't have the guys to do. And that's been a lifetime of just networking too, like maintenance supervisor, meeting this guy, knowing this guy from this construction side and this company. And it's just we've been all over. And right now with the way things are going, you ask Brian, we're busier than we've ever been. Yeah. But we're not doing our usual. I was hanging my hat on these I do $30,000 backyard projects a year where people get a new pool or want this, and like it just that flattened out big time. Like that's not there. But we are lucky enough to that, we work with these hospital networks and they wanted to do upgrades, and a couple construction companies had a couple big projects going on. We beat out for bids. So like I was able to stay busier than we everywhere, but we just pivoted. And that was just us networking over so much time that no matter where I was at, I was secure.
So networking is very important for you.
Oh yeah. Now I don't believe in spending $5,000 a month on billboards. But there's a lot of ways now, you could just go about advertising. Like we wrap all of our trailers. So when you're driving down the road, like in my head, like, okay, buy a $10,000 trailer, spend $10,000 on graphics on the side. So for the next 8 years, you spend 20 grand up front, but for the next 8 years, driving up and down the highway, you really want to spend, $5 grand for 1 month on one spot of the highway, and that was how I looked at my advertising. Was a little different. Like I consider it cheap, but that's what I did. And people tell me, oh man, I see you guys in New Jersey, you're up in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, you're in Reading. And it's like, we're taking the advertising to them.
Yeah, that's good.
Different than what most people do.
Yeah.
Not one stationary piece of advertising.
Yeah.
And there's Facebook too,
I think social media is the best.
You don't even put your, like, my guy that does all our guys, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you don't put your phone, put your name. People Google it, hit the button.
Right.
Like there's their Facebook page. Like there is no more like dialing a phone number. There is, but like 90% of people, it's not anymore.
Most people just look up the business name, contact that.
That's it. Yeah. We do the same. I Google it.
How do you take your personal values and align them with your business? And do they influence any of the decisions you make? Because you've made some pretty good decisions with networking, with choosing to go in your own path, things like that.
Well, I obviously love what I do, which I think I'm very fortunate. So it makes it easier to go to work. I mean, it does. It makes it easy to go to work. I love it. The number one thing that I think about what's important about business is like, if it's employee first, number one, because you can't, if you want to grow, like I can't be on every job. Like you need customer to be taken care of, but it ain't going to be you. So unless you got good guys there that are happy, that's not going to trickle down. And they're going to piss off your customer. I have, how many notes do we get? I get constant, oh my God, your guys were great. Your guys were great. They're amazing. It's like, yeah, well, there's 8 crews like that today going around. And that's just you, like he said earlier, letting those employees. Now, one thing that I'll probably talk about throughout this a couple times, one of my rules of life is like 80-20. That's like number one. You need to go into everything in your life knowing that, like women, freaking pets, cars, anything, you're going to have a 20% loss. So 20% of the time, some employees aren't going to be happy. There's nothing you can do about that. There's always going to be that guy that's looking for a next job, or he's not happy with you, or he's having a pissed off day. But you have to have the rest of the guys around there to be able to control that if you're not there. So like I would say, like taking care of your guys, and then making sure it's like a football team. Like the quarterback, is an alignment, vice versa. You got to see who's strong where and put them there.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And if you don't see that, you can't just stick anybody anywhere. And then emotional management's the other thing. Like, the old days is like, well, if we're having a bad day, screw it. Leave. It's like, no, you don't do that. Like, go over, put my arm around the guy. Is everything going on? You all right? You doing okay? What's going on? I need a little help. Like being able to have that soft side is huge. But then at the same time, you need to know when to like drop the hammer if somebody's doing something stupid and let them have it. It's like a weird line to be friends and a boss. Like it's a very difficult thing that I accidentally found my way through it. And I don't get it right all the time. I mean, I don't. 80-20. You're not going to always get it right all the time.
Yeah.
You know that, but like you got to try. The guys know that.
So off the top of my head, have you noticed a difference from when you first started to how you have to emotionally support your employees based on nowadays how you have to emotionally support them?
Oh, you got to care. It's like, it's okay to have feelings now. In the old days, like you just kept your shit to yourself and nobody said anything. And some guy just like freak out and like, instead it's like, well, all right, let's get in a fight. Well, now it's like you kind of walk over and be like, you all right, bud? Why are you being a pissy, man? You're like yelling at everybody. Is everything okay? Like I wouldn't have did that, well, I was also young too. So, I mean, you grow, into it, but
because it used to be wipe the sweat off your brow, go home, you're a man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what you do.
Well, no. And then in today's day and age, all the young kids that are coming in, they're not It's
They're a little
not,
more sensitive.
yeah,
Where's my trophy?
right.
I was sitting here.
Well, you know, and nothing against them. It's the way the world is these days. That's just how they are. And you have to, and I mean, you told me that a couple times, like, you got to remember these guys are young. They, you know, they didn't grow up like us, you know, they didn't. So
Yeah.
you got to keep that in mind that, you know, not everybody can handle getting yelled at by their boss anymore. It's just
No, it's just,
the way the
those
world
days,
is.
don't freak out.
I guess that proves me wrong further from our love languages conversation where I said there was no love in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Suck it up and endure the suck. So I'm like old school like you because we're the same age about. So I'm like, you know, suck it up, brush it off, rub some dirt in it. Let's get on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can't really be like that 100%. 80-20.
But then
80-20.
I also
80-20.
I get
I
hurt
like
though
it.
too. Like I take that shit personal, like real personal. Like if somebody quits, I like it. It pisses me off. You know, we just had a recent thing happen on the other side, the one company, and I for the first time did this, man. This kid came to us to work, wanted to drive, amazing person. I wish him the best of luck, but he wanted an opportunity, and I saw it in him. Like he was like the best guy, one of the best guys I ever met as far as operating equipment. So we paid for him to go through school, paid his wages while he was in school. And our insurance, because he was under 25, went up $7,000. So it's like, this is a $20,000 investment. And whatever you want to say, but at the time he didn't want to sign the contract. I want him to at least give us 2 years of work out of this. And I trusted him. And
That's an ROI.
yeah, I
understandable.
thought, yeah, absolutely. And, he just gave us his 2 weeks notice, 6 months in after his education, went somewhere else for a couple more bucks.
Wow.
And he's, you know, and just did not get it. Like, I'm like, I would have gave you the raise after your 2.
Wow.
Like, do you not get that? Like, I saw a future in you. Like, I had a real strong conversation with him. And then I came right back at the end of the conversation and said, just want to let you know, over this job, this work, driving the truck has nothing to do with it. I said, this is your identity, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you stole $20,000 from me. Like, I looked at you and thought you were amazing and gave you that trust and just crushed it. I was like, I don't think what I thought of you anymore. That's what you just broke your honor, and now I have no trust, and that's everything.
Or respect.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm done with you, dude. And then like, as the day went on, like we had work to do for the next 2 weeks, but you made me sick even looking at him driving my truck. Like I didn't even want him to be I didn't want him to be on the property because nobody's ever done that to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, what did I do wrong? I'm like, we did nothing wrong.
So
He was going.
I mean, some people
Looking
are
out for
just like
himself.
that. Yeah.
But he was worried about. He was worried about himself, and that was it.
But the stupid thing is in hindsight, he really burned himself because you were going to help him out. You seen something in him. You were going to elevate him and grow him. And I'm sure at one point in time, if he would have came to you like 2 years down the road and say, hey, listen, man, I got another offer from this place. I want to be totally honest with you and transparent that this is what's going on. I'm thinking about taking it, but my loyalty is here with you. I'm sure you would counter.
Well, put it this way.
You know what I mean?
He was a truck driver. He was at a party on the weekend a couple months ago and fell and wrecked his ankle and couldn't push the clutch in, had a boot. We put him in the shop to work on stuff for 3 weeks till his foot got
Kept
better.
him working.
Kept him working. I knew it was important.
Here's the thing. He's young, right? He's wet behind the ears.
Yeah,
so
25,
he
26.
doesn't
Yeah.
understand. He doesn't understand the opportunity he had.
He doesn't understand the bridge he just burned.
Well, and he'll understand that in time, but I'm saying like this too. He won't, you know, when they're young, you don't really see it. We talk about opportunity cost a lot here. So his opportunity cost of what he did is large, and it's not in a good way.
Yeah.
And, you know, the opportunity cost of that a couple extra dollars has now burned a bridge that could have actually been, you know, a lot more. Not even money, just a lot more. What if he's there and he's like, hey, man, I really appreciate you doing that for me. I have no problem signing anything for you. I'd like to learn this too. Would you feel comfortable putting me through that education as well, as long as I promise to stay here and sign paperwork? I'm sure you'd do it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's an ROI to you as a business. It's a tax write-off at the end of it. But it's an ROI to you, right? So this is an investment of opportunity cost of these funds that I could put into you, or I could put that $20,000 into another machine. So that opportunity cost goes to you. If I came to you as an employee and said, hey, listen, I want you to put more opportunity cost into me, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. I'm sure you would do that.
I would have. I mean, this kid ate dinner in my house. We did everything with him. Like the kid was amazing. Like, and I loved him. He's up here every weekend working on his cars. I mean, this is like a big family up here. You have to have that, or people aren't going to give a shit anymore.
Well, I mean, I see the shit that you do for Brian with just having us here and stuff. I could see you're an upstanding man doing it.
I appreciate it.
So shame on that kid. If he ever listens to this podcast, I hope you listen to it and you realize that you fucked up, bruh. So hopefully if this shit comes back around and you have an opportunity like this, don't burn it again, because respect goes more than money. At the end of the day, knowledge is what's going to make you money at the end of the day, because our bodies are going to fail. So the only thing we have is knowledge. I have a friend that did construction for years, busting his ass, made a decent living, but just, kicking his ass day in and day out. Now he's a freaking consultant that just talks about it and he makes bank. Doesn't even do nothing. Like, he works, don't get me wrong, but compared to the amount of work that he used to do compared to now, he's traveling, but he's making bank compared to what he because of the knowledge that he has. Because not other people can do it. And I mean, in these new architects coming up, they might, hypothetically, things may look good, but in real day systems, no, it's not. Like, we see it with cars. Why are you going to put like a starter up above the gas tank or some stupid shit like that? You know what I mean? We see it, right? You know what I mean? Oh yeah. So shame on that kid. He screwed up. Opportunity cost.
Yeah, and he went to a good company. I mean, it's not like he didn't. You know, he's going to be somewhere that he's going to be okay. But like, he just kept saying, "Man, I'm just worried about my family, and I'm having a hard time, making my bills." And I'm like, "All right, dude. What about my 20?" Like, it just didn't, dude. I was like, it wasn't sinking in.
Or maybe it was sinking in. He just didn't give a fuck about it.
That could be. That's weird, though, but it's a big loss for him, because working for a company like this, like if you have an emergency with your family or you have something going on, you need time off. Like, not every company is going to do that. Not every company is going to be understanding of that. And you have a boss that cares. You have an owner of the company that cares about you, and he cares about your family. And I can talk all day about the things that you've done for us as your employees, like, with buying Phillies tickets and giving everybody an opportunity to go to a Phillies game, buying out a section at a Reading Royals game to go see a hockey game, Knobles, renting out the bowling alley. Like there's so many things that you do for us, and you don't, that's all technically a loss financially for you guys. And
opportunity cost for sure.
Well, it's an investment.
Yeah, it is an investment.
That's how I look at it.
You look at it as an investment.
I look at it as an investment, and I was also very fortunate enough to be on the other side. I had the owners that didn't take care. Like, I was in the other side of the companies a little bit, enough to see what I would have needed to be in a good mood. Because, like, let's be honest, I used to construction, landscape, anything outside. Yeah, everybody could say, "Oh, outside, so nice." Okay. That's not always the truth. Like, it sucks, man. It's hot. You're dirty. Yeah. Like, it sucks to work. Like, let's look
cement bags around outside and see how much you like being outside.
Let's face the music. It sucks to work. And so, like, I'm trying to do everything I can to just, make it as pleasurable as possible.
You try to improve the quality of life of everybody.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you take some of the stress off of them with that. But how do you take stress off yourself? With this big ROI you just lost.
Yeah.
And I'm sure running all these things is quite a lot. So how do you take some of the stress off of yourself with that?
I mean, my big thing is, like, I believe in, like, work hard, play hard. So, like, I obviously live on the facility where all of our companies are now. So, like, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock with backup alarms of the truck starting up in the morning to the last moment. The last guy goes down and the gate closes. That's great. I love that. But as hard as I work, then I play just as hard. Like, I'm lucky enough that, decisions I made, I'm, fortunate enough that I bought a place up north, 2 hours from here. So, like, on the weekends, I can leave, take my drive, go up there. We have a little cabin and a farmette, and I stay up there and could completely disconnect myself from everything. My phone's on me. There's a big snowstorm come. I'm talking on the phone all the time with everybody, make sure everything's okay. But I can at least, like, live in my little fantasy land for a couple days.
Off grid
to, like, get myself clear, which my big thing is the outdoors. Like, I love hunting and fishing. So I love that. And then I plan, like, an adventure hunt every year where I go completely all in, like either a grizzly hunt, Alaska, Colorado, and I'm doing my thing. And that just can give me my space, and then it gets me to, I know I already have one planned, I planned one for the next year. So, like, all week, all year when shit's tough, like, it's like my fantasy land that I'm thinking about getting to.
Wow.
And then I was fortunate enough that I got my family into it. I got my daughters to hunt, my wife to hunt. So now we can all, like, partake into, like, the thing I love to do even more. So, like, yeah, I mean, but I do love working. Like, everybody's like that, but, like, I get off and coming down and seeing all the guys and being a part of it, and going to construction sites and meeting people, and again, 80-20, it's not always perfect, but yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
You know, I do.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have to de-stress that bad. And the fact that I've been doing it, you know, for so long, I've learned to like, not be cliche about things, but like be a half full kind of person. Like you really need to look at the good things. There's going to be problems every day. Every day something breaks. I mean, I got 40 trucks. I mean, every day one of them's in the shop or two of them. So like I can't be losing my mind. Yeah, I can't be losing my mind when shit breaks. It's like you got to look at we got this done today. All right, well that's, you know, you got to manage your loss and work on it. But if I focused on all the problems, you know, like, there's barely any money in the account today, but we have 300 grand in accounts receivable. Like you got to like look at that and manage your good parts and your bad parts. You can't focus on the negative or you'll be jumping off a bridge, dude. I mean, you can't, right? Especially where I'm at, there's so much shit that's wrong every day. You lose your mind, literally, you know.
Get things planned out that you look forward to. Focus less on the negativity is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I just, if you were just consumed of all the problems, especially at this level, you wouldn't be able to like get yourself up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and my wife, who's our controller for all the businesses, which is, you know, that's a whole nother podcast you could do for 2 hours working with your wife, which is tough.
We might have to do that.
Yeah, like that's difficult in itself. But I watch her mental angst on. She's newer. Like she was a big part of our growth when we did grow. That I brought her into the part of the business that I wasn't as good at. Like I was good at doing paperwork and all that stuff, but the fact that I hated it that bad was like what it like clogged me up a little bit. So I knew like you need to like get rid of this part of your life and business and have somebody else do it, or you're gonna like be stuck. You know,
pull the
like
misery out.
And I have a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have like, you know, I want to call it ADD, ADHD, whatever. Like I lose focus after about an hour. So like the more shit I got going on, actually the better I am, because I can then jump from one thing to another and be in complete focus. Where like when you're doing office stuff, dude, you gotta like sit there for hours. Yeah. And I'm like, it's like, no, some people can, but I can't. Now I can sit in a tree waiting for a deer to come for 4 hours and not move. Literally sit there with my arms crossed and not move 4 hours. No
that
idea.
I can do.
No idea.
I'll be sleeping.
Yeah.
He's snoring.
Well, you're talking to two guys that work in cubicles, so
Yeah, but I know a lot of the smartest people in the world say they only do 1 hour time slots of studying subjects.
Yeah.
And then they go to a different one and your brain can actually process those things better and you become more efficient.
Yeah.
So you're more efficient that way.
I have to. And even like when we do go up north, like I like to work in landscape. I can't do it here, but like I can go up there and I'm like always have projects going on. And she's like, what? It's everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I have 5 messes. And like I bounce around, like I'll go on this side of the house and we're staying in the railing over here. Then I like go over and I like move around every hour until the end of the day and then they're all done. Like if I just stood at like one spot, I'd like lose my mind. So instead I get a bunch of things going and then I get a bunch of stuff done. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to. I have
that
to.
That should have been in our work life.
All right, work-life balance.
Spot. Dang.
Sounds intense.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess I kind of do that at work. Like I'll do code, then somebody will contact me. I'll do something for them, and then they need an import or they need a report. There's questions, and then I go back to code.
Yeah,
I have to do I have a meeting, and then I do code. I guess I kind of do. I mean, I multitask constantly, but I don't have it scheduled. Like I can't do that with work, but I can do that outside of work.
Yeah.
But if I do the multiple projects like that, hopefully the 2-year-old doesn't pull me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
She has me
That's
wrapped.
the attention span of 5 minutes.
Wrapped around her finger. Wrapped around her finger.
So, all right. So we've established that you have a lot of what we would consider success. You have businesses, you've got money, you've got time. What does success look like to you?
My success is based around like trying to just, I know this might be a little corny, but like just like keeping my family healthy and happy. I like now I went from like out here and like trying to just like whoop, and that goes with the guys too. Like I just want to like at the end of the day, like are all the trucks turned off? Like that's like success to me is being able to just be like everybody got back happy, healthy, nobody got hurt. I know it sounds a little corny, but like even like going up to the cabin, I'm on the phone with him, like everybody back and done. Like it's like Friday, and it's like, and I called Doug and I called my operation manager. Everybody back and done. Yep, everybody's home. Yep, gate shut. It's like that's like I get that off my chest. And it's like,
wow.
you know, I'm never gonna sell a company, but I could see that's why people do it. Like that impoundment of that stress is something gonna go wrong. You got like a lifespan on that, man. It's like being in the NFL. Like, you know, you only got so much time for your knees going to blow. Same thing. Like you only got so much time and you're going to like go off like a tea kettle. It's not going to, it's like that mental, your mind's like a muscle. You're going to wear it out eventually.
Yeah.
And I just pray to God, like all the time, like nobody gets hurt. Like that's like my number one thing. And I like, that's as far as like maybe personally, but like business success. Like I think I just want some of the simple stuff. Like want to be remembered. Want people to have pride that work here. I want people to love our work. I want to be respected in the community. I want to be able to, like, if I go to stand at a construction meeting, I want the guys to listen to me. You know,
bug is that?
That's an assassin bug.
there's a bunch of them flying around here.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell.
What is that thing?
It's an assassin bug.
It's a little bigger and go get me a beer, but
Right behind you.
but yeah, I think just like for me, success is just being able to also then like give my family what they want. Like, I just want to do that little bit extra work, a little harder. Can we go to the beach for a week? Yeah. Can I go on my hunting trip with my kid and just like, you know, like I don't have the big house disorder. Like I don't need a big home. You know, I'd rather have a couple little ones, but I just want to like go have fun and travel. Like that kind of stuff is what I'm like looking at being successful. Like that's just, can I have what I want? I don't have like this thing like, oh, gotta have 5,000 top of the hill overlooking everybody. That's not in my, you know, I'd rather have 100 acres and a little place to hide. Would be more, like for me, it would be more important, you know, but that's success. I think just being happy every day.
Yeah.
That sounds a little corny, but like,
you're right.
am I falling asleep? Happy.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
you have to.
Yeah.
You know?
So has your idea of success changed over time from when you were younger, or has this kind of always been where you wanted to end up?
I know I was like looking way closer. Like I was looking right here in front of me when I was younger, but I think like I'm really trying to think like big picture now, like 5 and 10 and 15. Like I pray to God right now I can live to be 100 just so I can see it all happen and be there. I don't want to be cut short because I know this isn't like, you know, most people where I'm at, it's like a generational thing already. It's like third generation. So they've had 2 people in front of them and they had another 50 years to get this kicked off. So I'm like in hyperdrive, like trying to get to a point where these guys are to play in the same field. And I'm at like a disadvantage because my time slot's been a lot. So like I'm out front like this barn cost us like $250,000 to build this from like, you know, top plus playing for all the guys. I mean, I'm thinking about everything. And it's like, that's big picture. Like being able to sit and have the guys here at the end of the day, do their time sheets, be able to collectively talk in a good place here and be able to plan the week out. And like we talked about my planning. Now, you know, I got guys that are enjoying it as much as I do. They're out there standing at the board at the end of the day, clocked out, figuring out the whole week. And then they come in and tell me their plan. And then we like work on the plan together. And it's like, that was efficiency. Again, that was maybe something that more of that happened on accident than I thought. We actually got better results from this barn than I could ever imagine of just creating a place for a group of guys to sit and talk. The more you talk, the less loss you have. Getting out in the morning, getting back and already know what's going on the next day, being able to plan. All those things are being efficient, and efficient makes you more money.
Huh.
You know, so
Beautiful.
like your return on investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just keeping my shit dry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's a lot going on here, just little office and everything. And just the camaraderie is just, I mean, it had to be like, crazy what happened. Yeah, crazy.
We had cornhole boards made, and we play cornhole like every day. We like the guys,
awesome.
They hang out here. Like they get off the clock, they don't leave right away.
Nobody leaves. They come down here at 7 o'clock. There's 25 people standing here hanging out, drinking beer. It's like, and again, my wife like that, but wasn't like used to that. But like I grew up working on a farm. So like there was this like 24/7 Like it was going on, like no matter what happened, there was a group of people to get the stuff done. You had to, you know, it wasn't like one person, like, and you got, you know, and it's tough. Like, I don't know. You heard like, you know, when you got to make hay when the sun shines, and that like trickles down a lot. Like, all right, well, you know, we got a lot of work going on tomorrow. Everybody's got to be here figuring out what's going on, you know, and those qualities of putting all those people in one place, and you could start talking and doing all those things. We just didn't have that. And she sometimes, you know, would get upset. Hey, there's some people around, but I'm like, you know, that's what we do. You know, we're a group of guys landscaping. We all want to have a good time. And, you know, I always, like, when we first started, like, she'd get mad sometimes I was out hunting all weekend. You know, we had like shit to. I'm like, hey, listen, you know what you're getting into. You know, when you first came over here, you saw the deer mounts. And it's like, this is what's happened. I'm like,
signed up for it.
And I told her this one. I was like, hey, don't marry an Amish guy and be pissed he's out planting corn.
Yeah,
like, you know what's going to happen, and this is it. And you want to go to the beach and you want to do your stuff, like, you got to embrace this whole thing. This isn't just like, you know, 7 to 5, everybody's done, it's over. It's like, this is the group of guys that have to work for us. And if they want to be happy doing this, we have to sacrifice a little bit, you know?
Yeah. So a question came to me about your wife. So your wife works with you, correct?
That's right.
So do you guys have to kind of separate yourselves because you're constantly with each other? You sound like a great power couple, don't get me wrong. But like at the end of the day, or trying to get along, is that harder to do because you're constantly next to each other?
We kind of like morphed into each other. She's down here drinking, throwing cornhole too.
Yeah, she does.
She's like hunts with me. I have to like the beach and sit under a fucking tarp. I have to sit under easy up. It's 130 degrees with sand in my mouth. I hate that, but I do that for her. And and she goes like, we kind of like, don't get me wrong. We want to. I'd say we get in like probably 2 arguments a week, 2 or 3.
Like maybe like each other every day. Down here, every day they get snippy with each other.
I mean, I do that shit. We don't even work together. I'm downstairs, she's upstairs, and it still happens.
Right.
So it's like, and I always say, okay, you run the company then. You figure it out.
Yeah, that's
well, then you come out and sign the checks. It's like, all right, like she, so we like banter back and forth all the time, but. Yeah, I don't like, and I'm not in her face all the time either. Like, I'm in the field doing stuff. She's in the office. So it's not like I'm literally sitting next to her all the time. But now we both get off on the success of things. But then, like, if I screw up on a quote, I get yelled at. Like,
that's good though. Yeah, that's good.
We came in, you know, we lost $5,000. It's like, you know, and then I'm saying, well, we made 10 over here. You know, like I try to change it. Right. I'm like the pessimist. I'm always looking at the good in things. But so, yeah, I now have somebody that holds me a little bit more accountable.
That's great. That's awesome. Like yin and yang, you know what I mean? That's what you need.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I would be broke. I would have spent all of our money already. Like, I'd be like, I like have no concept, you know, of that. So she really helped. And she's the one too that like made us more efficient. The fact, like, our job sheets, sitting down, figuring out what we did every day, what we went out, and, you know, keeping the company in business on charging correctly. Like, I would never see our losses or be able to figure out how to like mitigate them for the next project. So by having somebody like full time, as nuts as I am, but on the computer side of things, at this level, you gotta, like, there almost needs to be 2 of her already, and there almost needs to be 2 of me, you know. But you know, you
both get stressed out, and you both have your days, but you know, for the most part, I think you guys handle the stress very well.
Yeah, like when things would go wrong, I could go home and smile, and she would never know it, you know. And then, but now she knows it. So like, instead of like, there's 2 people stressed, and she doesn't handle it as well as I do. So yes, it can ruin dinner sometimes when something's not going right. Like, we're waiting for one of the big checks to come in. It didn't come in, but we got, you know, payrolls next week. And, you know, that still happens no matter what side, like no matter what level company you're on, like cash flow is still gonna, you know, excuse me, cash flow is still gonna like stress you out.
Yeah.
And the economy, I'm sure too. I mean, the economy's not the great. You said
like I said, we talked about
pivot from some of those other ones, like people aren't buying pools, you said, right?
People just aren't like the expendable, like, or disposable income. People are kind of like, America likes to spend. That's why we have $80 trillion in credit card debt. We all do. I mean, I'm the same way. I want to just buy, spend. And we've become accustomed to that. I think last year, people were just muddling. We're just so sick of COVID, so sick of everything. They were just pushing right through. And I think this is the year I thought last year was going to be, and people are just a little bit more like, I think they're gonna crunch down. If we have a cold winter and heating fuel goes up, you know, and then you're sitting there all winter and you want to go out and get out of the house and you realize you just went bowling, about cost $130 for the 4 of you.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna start geeking out, you know, like big time.
I mean, you look at HELOCs are up, refinances are up, bankruptcies are up. Average credit card debt is up. Everything's up. So people are still trying to live the same lifestyle, but they went from like, having a filet mignon bank account to a ground chuck bank account now because of the price.
I just saw what happened. Like everybody calls it the COVID bump, you know, on the business side of things. And we just had like the third COVID bump. Like kind of like everybody was like, make it $20 an hour. And it was like, you got to catch up real quick and pay everybody $20, you know, $25. And it was 28. Now it's like 30. And people are getting headhunted for 35. And it's like, this just like went nuts, like over 4 years of what just happened. And I think everything jumped way up, but then like the companies are like, we can't borrow anymore. We can't do this, we can't do that. And that gap's going to come back. And I don't think the wages are going to keep up with the expenses. And because I know, like, I've had more people come for me for raises. Like, nobody bitched for the last couple of years. Now, all of a sudden, it was like, I can't make my bills, you know? Yeah. And it's like, dude, I wish everybody could be at 150 grand a year with their own company truck and we could all take 6 months off. I'm like, but I guess I picked the wrong business to be in, you know? And I can't do that for everybody. And it hurts. You know, in this company, there could only be so many chiefs. Got to have so many Indians, you know?
So in the beginning, when you were starting your business, was there any hardships like that you had to overcome?
I wanted to grow faster than I could. That was like my big thing. Like I think in the beginning of my business, it was just constantly like, I don't want to wait around. I don't want to wait for my time. And it gave me a lot of frustration.
I mean, I'm sure that having that 100 grand sitting out there over top of your head when you first started the business was part of that anxiety to get you to move.
Oh yeah, I had to, you know, have the big loan, you know, and it did, having that debt weight over your head all the time. And then like in the winters, like I wasn't plowing as much snow back then, and I had, you know, it was all on me, you know, and there was like I felt like I was stuck in a rut for like 10 years. And then like something, again, like I told you before that, you know, I got married, had kids, and all at the same time had an opportunity to get a big contract. And it went like warp speed, like real quick. It went, you know, and I had to keep up with it. And then again was more debt, a lot of debt. So then it started all over again. Now it's double the stress. Now I have 10 guys to worry about instead of 5. You know, and then it went from 15 to 20, 25 to 30, 35 to 40, and it just kept growing. And I'm still scared. Like, we have these big multi-million-dollar contracts, but you know, it's all on a maintenance supervisor or some accountant in another state that signs, you know, the procurement office and the lawyers that look at, like, just like that, dude, there's somebody there. Like this new maintenance supervisor come in and his cousin Jimmy's got a lawn company and he knows it's $1 million and he's going to have them bid 950. And like, that's how that shit goes. Like, and I could get cut right at the knees real quick. Or
a takeover, a buyout, another company buys them and says, now we're just going to cut everything off and start fresh.
That happened to me twice, actually. Yep. And I almost lost my mind. And we somehow made it through. And, you know, we had that happen. I had that big contract down in Allentown, and they came to me and said, hey, we need you to continue the contract. We can't pay you for like the next 6 months. I said, well, that doesn't like work. Why don't you come in? We like to sit and talk to our lawyers. Okay. Go down. I said, listen, everybody's lining up to sue us for the money. Do that, but then you're out. Or you stick with us here, and when the company sells, get everything back pay will be granted to you when you sell the company. I said, that's great, but I pivoted right away, like you just said. And I'm like, that's fine, but can you guarantee me that I'll have it for the next 3 years? This contract is. I'm not going to bust my ass here and lose my mind for the next 6 months. Yeah, all right, I'm going to get paid, but at that point, damage is going to be done.
Yeah.
Is there any more guarantee? They did. They bucked up and signed an agreement, and I met the next company, and we started a relationship, and we're still there now. Thank God.
It shows a little
Thank
skin in the
God.
game on them then too. You and them. So
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I don't know what hospital it was down there, but I worked for a big hospital down there.
And it's tough now because, you know, like there we are, 20 hours, big snowstorm. We're busting our ass, wiping off cars in between, shoveling, dying. It was 100-mile-an-hour wind, then getting rained on. We're salting sidewalks, making sure everybody's okay. And then like this year comes along and we go to get our contract signed, and it's like some lady from North Carolina trying to figure out why our snow prices are so much. And I'm like,
You live in North Carolina, lady. What do you know about Pennsylvania?
this is a multi-billion-dollar hospital company. And like the person that's signing their snow contract is from North Carolina that never held a snow shovel.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? And it makes you a little like, oh, makes you hurt, makes you sad. And then it makes me like pucker up a little bit. Cause like, that's the person that can end your world like real quick, and it's just like, oh God.
It would just be a learning experience for them. Cause if you out and got somebody else and then they came in with a higher price or about the same price as you, oh, I guess there is some snow in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the kind of shit I got to deal with, like mentally. That's why it's like I'm out so far and all these different, my fingers are in everything because half of the shit's not going to work half the time. So you got to rely on everything. Like I said, I got all these guys that, I drink with and I know their family and I got to make sure everybody's good. And I want to pay them a lot of money. So I got to go after the work that pays a lot of money, which is even harder to do. Like I take a lot of work right now that's like dirt cheap shit work, but they're not the guys I have. I like kind of like, I wouldn't say like cut my own throat a little bit there, but like I got more pressure. Like I'm still not at the point where I feel like I can relax. I haven't been. Like I'm still constantly like, I gotta go after it. Yeah, and I don't like to headhunt. I don't like to cut throats, But at the end of the day, I gotta look out for my guys.
All right, so we've seen some of the negative. You have a positive story you could share about the company? About you?
I'm happy that we've created the camaraderie that I have here with all the guys. Like that's my big, I would say, success. And the fact that we've helped a lot of people out that these guys don't even know about, that I didn't even charge, that were in bad times, that, I did, that gave myself some gratification that people were sick or whatever, needed some help. And I just, I'm also thankful, like the one side of the company, we have an ag service that does food plots for hunting clubs. Okay. And people hire us for hunting. And then I do consulting on just tree stand like placement, everything about the wind direction of the property, how to set it up, like manipulating the environment for your cause, to make it an easier hunt. And every Saturday I get these pictures of these kids like holding their first buck. You know what I mean? Cool. Like, and just getting the stories. And all the things like that is like awesome. Like here I am, like I'm finally back to my roots. Like I'm farming, which is what I always wanted to do. And I'm farming for hunters, which is what I love to do. And then you get this gratification from it. Like it's awesome.
Made a difference in, that, in their lives.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like that's incredible. Cool. It's incredible. And I can go into that again for an hour, a podcast about food plots and all things that does. I mean, that's what I love. Like I wish that's what we did actually. I wish all we did was food plots, but it's, there's a small window of timing. It's a seasonal thing.
Yep.
And then like you'd really have to travel a lot. So like in the grand scheme of things, I couldn't make a living or support what we have on just doing food plot. It'd be like kind of impossible, but I get to do it. And it's the only time of year where I'm like really not busy. And again, I was telling you, like, I got to stay busy. So like these guys can kind of like walk a little bit. It's like trimming season. And we have some, projects. So like, I don't need to babysit. I still go out and sell. I'm still doing sales. And then like teaching and all the things that I've done. Like I have another guy that's amazing. That's been with me for a long time that over 5 years, I taught him how to do all the tractor work and stuff. So like he can split off a little bit and stay on it. And it's like, I'm still doing it, but I'm not. And I'm still bouncing all over. It's like, I think that food plot part of it is what's giving me a lot of fun right now. I'd say fun, working. But
that was one of your pivoting points in your business where you said, okay, go away from landscaping, start doing this.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas on what your next move is?
No, I mean, I'm not necessarily, I don't have my eye on like an expansion idea right now. No, but I do know like the most important thing is like, you can go build a bunch of ships, but make sure you're still sailing on the same pond. Like, I'm not out buying a restaurant, you know, or like a car dealership. Like, you know, we've been doing some outdoor construction, like decks, some roofs. Like, I've been very fortunate. I hired 2 carpenters. So like, I love building stuff. Like, we built this barn, you know, and it's like, I have some guys that like went to school for engineering. Like, they're real deal. Like, they, you know, have a degree in carpentry and drafting, and like, you know, they can do it all. It's like, these guys are awesome. And I'd like to maybe go that direction a little bit, do more outdoor construction, small construction. But I'm not going to leave. It's all still tractors, dump trucks, hammers, shovels. Like, I'm staying in that same planet, you know, that same pond. I'm not going out on a limb and doing something I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I got to make sure I know everything about it first. Right. That way I can control or prevent or foresee something happening. Like, I've seen that. And that's one of my biggest things. Like, I think the greatest thing I've learned from was failures. I say it all the time. Like, I've watched other people, like what we were talking about treating your employees. Like, I've seen other guys be a complete idiot and like, oh, punched in the teeth, bro. Like, you should have just got knocked out. And like, well, listen to that guy, and he comes back, you know, or he's like, that mother, you know, and he's pissed off. And like, I watch him not like finish something, or you'll learn. Like, and then I've seen other people like try to make investments in other companies that they don't know anything about, and they don't understand what's right, what's wrong, seeing the things that are problems. Like, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, too late kind of problem at the end of the year. So I'm afraid of losing, and I'm not going to do something that I don't know everything about, which limits me. You know, I'm not like an investor. Like, I'm a hands-on guy, so I don't want to just like, I'm not throwing my money in it. And I don't like want to do that. Like, my investment is myself. Like, I just pay down our debt. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, I like real estate a little bit. We have some houses and stuff, but it's like all things I know what I'm doing. But other than that, like, we're trying to get out of debt. Like, hopefully here in the next like year or so, like, a lot of Pleasant Valley stuff's going to be paid off, you know? So like, I'm going to be a little bit better. Now, again, we're going into debt on some other stuff with the other company. That's, you know, what we're doing, but I just don't have this big futuristic plan. Like, I'm doing this, I'm selling, I'm going to go buy that. That's not anything. I think I have to. I've met a couple people now that I've known personally for a while that sold their companies, and it like, they got like screwed up over it. Like, first of all, they ran out of money in like 5 years. That's like the number one thing. Then they like lost their identity, and it created like a real chasm in their life. Like, they got this check and everything was real cool for like a year or two, maybe 3. And then they like ended up like not good. And I think like, if I would consider myself like going somewhere in the future, I might just hire a me on both ends of the company. Maybe, you know, kind of do what I do everywhere. I'd still be involved all the time. Like, if I want to go to the beach for 2 weeks instead of 1, that'd be okay. I have a phone. I pick it up all the time. Everybody calls me 24/7. So I'm always managing stuff. Like, all right, maybe, you know, over the winter, you know, the first 2 storms I'm there, but the last 2 I'm not. Maybe I'll go do some. Like, I don't think I'll ever get out of it. And I've seen really successful companies where like the old owner's there. He's like 85 and he's still there every morning. Like, that's the, but you know, and I think that's what I'm going to, I know that's what I'm going to do. So I've already made up my mind.
I loved what you said there.
Yeah.
You invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You're putting it all back onto yourself and into yourself.
Yeah.
And your empire has grown out from what you've known. You put more boats on the pond.
Yeah.
Same pond.
Yeah.
More boats. And I think that's a really
good analogy.
Cool key takeaway.
Well, I had one time that I will remain in my head. I'll say his name because the guy to me, it means everything. He's one of my best friends, Sal Valeni from Valeni's in Orixburg, one of the best restaurants you could ever go to, right?
Yeah.
No offense to all the other restaurants I go to.
Oh, they got great subs there, man.
And I go in there to one night, me and him drank. I mean, he was my neighbor. I go way back. And, you know, one day, he just remodeled the whole place from the old Valeni. Built this new big dining hall, and I was in there. Couldn't find a seat. There was a line out the door. I said, Sal, hey, like, get another, why don't you go down to Hamburg, start another restaurant? And he, Danny, I'm not throwing them pizzas in the air. They're not my pizza.
Oh.
And I thought, And I said, well, you could still, he goes, but I'd rather have a full restaurant than an empty one. And he like stayed with those two things. Like at the time, like, Sal, you could have another restaurant. I went right on like through the conversation. And like, I thought about it later. I'm like, yeah, like you get too big and you can't control everything. Like there's a point where there's a fine line of like quality and quantity.
Yeah.
Like a real balance there.
You lose the personalism then too, right? I mean, we're seeing it in hospitals with AI. So there are a lot of hospitals are putting AI and automatic response to doctors. So you go in to message your doctor through, instead of you thinking that your response from a doctor.
Actually, AI.
That's terrifying, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of that too, like
Personalism is going.
you know, you could talk about medical and we can go in a whole nother, avenue on that too, but just that's government putting their nose in where it shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
Obamacare,
Absolutely.
half the price.
Yep.
You got to see twice as many people in half the time with half the people.
I
Start figuring that out, and then it's medical. Like that's okay if maybe you're fixing tires.
I mean,
But it's like,
well, I mean, that's
that
all
whole
facade,
industry
too.
is holy shit. And that, there you go.
All
Okay.
facade.
You want to go back to the things I was scared about. I built myself around a health network in the beginning of my company, and Obamacare hit. And a lot of these guys own their own practices. And they're like, listen, they're telling us what they're giving us. I can't just charge what I want. This is what you're getting. And that's it. And like, we need to figure this out right now. And they just like cut a lot of stuff because they were scared. They were doctors. They weren't necessarily businessmen, but they were running a doctor's business.
Yeah.
So they needed to still take care of their patients, yet figure out their business. And there was like, there's this guy, literally a brain surgeon, like talking to me about jumping off a bridge because he doesn't know what's going to happen, and it did. That struck a lot of people. My wife at the time was in the medical industry, and she, same thing. Like they let half the people go and said, well, we're not going to give you a raise, but we're still going to see the same amount of people. So basically she did like twice to triple the work and didn't get compensated for it.
Now that's why travel nurses make $100 and some an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banking.
Yeah.
They're banking.
Yeah.
That is, but I mean, that whole that old Obamacare healthcare.gov thing. I mean, when I did my own business and I was consulting and stuff like that, with that one business, I was paying for my own insurance, right? And at that time I was paying my own insurance, Obamacare, and it was going from like $360 this year to $4 something this year to $5 something this year to $7 something the next.
And your
month.
deductible kept going. Everything just
about the same, or it would go up a little bit every year. But my every month I'd pay this. So then I said, screw that. I'm going to call Blue Cross directly. I called Blue Cross, same everything across the board for $200 cheaper a month.
Yeah.
Other than an Obamacare site. So then I called Obamacare and just to let them know what's going on and to tell them that like this is horse shit. Their answer was, we're a third party company that works for the government. We don't have any clue what that's about.
Yeah.
It's all facade. So it's again, like now Obamacare is great if you don't make a living. If you don't make a living and you're on the government tit, or you're just over the limit on the government tit, you can buy this insurance. And if you make your household income is low, then yeah, you're going to get awesome healthcare for a fraction of the price. But if you're going there saying, oh, I'm my own businessman, I'm ambitious, I want to make more money and do things for myself and stay my own businessman, and they're going to say, well, guess what? You make too much. We're going to charge you extra now.
Yeah, we're in a weird place where you don't get compensated for doing better.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
look at the interest rates. If your credit score is so good, now you get whacked more money, and the people that don't have as good.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like I don't get me wrong. I believe in Robin Hood, steal from the rich to give to the poor. However, but what we're doing, I feel what we're doing here is we're robbing from the middle class to give to the poor while the rich get richer. It's like Robin Hood with Down syndrome.
Yeah, the middle class is disappearing before our face.
Yeah,
they're trying to do away with the middle class, literally.
They've always done that. And people like him, for instance, the business owner, small business owner, not this monster corporation. Yep. The small business owner, middle class, makes a living. You have too much power. You need to own nothing and love it.
Yeah,
I think I don't think I'm like I am. You say that. Well, if you're not growing, you're dying. That's another famous business expression. It's like, no, I don't want to be in more goddamn debt, and I'm actually comfortable for once. So like that's also somewhere like I want to be. Like I don't need to like grow. Like if we can fire on all cylinders where I'm at right now, like I could have I have a happy life. Yeah, I have my boat's a 20-footer. It's not a 200-footer, but I still gotta have a boat. you know, like I could still go on my trip every year and do my things with my family. And like, I just want to have that quality over quantity thing and nail it down. Like if an opportunity comes along, don't get me wrong, we're going to grow. We might buy, you know, another 5 more dump trucks or 10, but I'm still going to be landscaping. Like, but I just, I don't have that take over the world complex. And you got to be careful with that.
But you're willing for opportunities, which goes back to that dude burning the bridge, right? So what's to say that dude didn't stay with you for a number of years, eventually leave you, but good recognizances or whatever, and go to another place, learn something, bring that, come back to you because you guys are friends, because you had a good, and say, hey, they're doing this over here, but I have an idea that would be more. Would you be interested in partner up with me on this business venture? And then you would look at your ROI and stuff and say, yeah, man, you know, I'm a businessman. I'm good over here. We're staying in the same pond. Let's try that out and do it better than them and see where it goes. Like he lost that opportunity now. See what I'm saying?
There again.
It is opportunity cost, right?
Yeah, I'm still mad.
I know. I'm sorry to keep bringing it up.
No. It's good mad. It's a learning. But then that takes me like, that's not fair though. Like, you know, like the next guy that comes along, like now I'm going to be a little hesitant. You know, I mean, like scares me. Not everybody's done that to me, but it's like,
and
a bitch.
And the opposite of that is you always look at the silver lining. It looks like, so if this dude would have did good, then it would have been a good example for the next, and then it would have been like a steamroll effect. You helped this guy out. You felt good from that. He did well with it. He stayed with you. Now the next guy comes along that's wet behind the ears. You do the same cycle with him. Now the cycle is kind of like broken or heart. So it's not going to be the full cycle anymore. So you still may do the option. You're going to be hesitant. You're going to make sure damn well that somebody's going to sign that paperwork to make sure you have them for that.
Yeah. But I'm also looking to survive and to look in the future. Like, you know, the other side of the company we're not talking about all the time. We have a triaxle, you know, division that we're driving trucks all the time.
Cool.
So I don't know about you guys, and you probably don't pay attention to it, but like when you drive down the road, like try to find a triaxle driver going by that's like under the age of 50. Like there's a big gap coming.
I noticed that.
Well, there's a giant gap that like everybody that drives anymore, it's like an automatic truck or, you know, that's small. Like, again, we talked about why would you go drive a triaxle and almost die every day when you can like drive an Amazon van that's an automatic and you don't have to worry about, you know, killing somebody for the same amount of money. And that's like the problem. Like there's only, it's, you know, we can talk about economics too. I mean, there's a giant supply and demand curve that you can look at all those analysis and it's like the same thing. I mean, there's, you know, you got a short supply and a high demand. So money goes up and people can choose and pick what they want. And you go up to like, you know, up here to CDL training school and there's only like 5 people that are applying, you know, and it's like, there's not this big abundance of, you know, triaxle drivers hitting the market right now. And the little bit of drivers that are going somewhere and driving an automatic, you know, and it's, you know, it's not easy right now. That's why we tried doing what we did. We tried training people, you know, and create loyalty that I have my own fleet, you know, of drivers. And it's like, man, it's tough. It's really tough.
I know a couple business owners and they're all saying the same thing, that the work effort is a tough thing to get right now. You see a lot of restaurant owners and stuff like that. That there's not workers, not good workers. Bars aren't even opening when they're supposed to because people are calling off and they don't have people to cover. And I mean, it's just, it's like there's a lack in the workforce.
Well, I think business owners too get into business for good reasons. And you know, I honestly want to give somebody something that they couldn't get without me, you know, like a beautiful yard or a patio or a retaining wall or something that a koi pond, something they dreamed about. And I have a hard time. I send him and 2 other guys to give them the price because I feel so damn bad sometimes telling somebody, you know, I was just at a place and this older couple had this big row of hedges, you know, big arborvitaes that were 20 foot tall. I tell them like, probably gonna be like $2,000 to trim these hedges. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, this guy's gonna like fall over. Like, you know, tell you, but it's like, you know, you try to bring a crew of guys in and, you know, do a really good job, and they're good guys that are driving, you know, these trucks and doing everything. You gotta pay them. Like, you know, I don't want to, you know, put myself out of business, but like we're climbing up on $100 an hour. Like that's nuts to even say that. And that's the problem with the business restaurant. If they charge $80 for a sub and we're paying people to make subs $40 an hour, there'd be a line out the door for people to make subs. They'd have a new college curriculum, you know, sub making. But people are afraid to charge that much, and you can't have collusion. You know, every restaurant went around and said, yeah, we're going to charge $200 for fucking slice of pizza, then you'd have no other choice than to pay that kind of money for it. But until then, there's competition and people feel bad. There's a cap on what you can charge, and therefore it holds people down. You know, again, that's what's going on with triaxles right now. It's like there's a limit of it goes per ton and $120 an hour. Well, right now, if you pay somebody $35 an hour to drive a triaxle, and you take care of that truck the way you're supposed to, tires, fuel, everything, it costs about $110 an hour to run that truck. You're telling me I need a $250,000 truck and I'm only going to make like maybe $100 a day? Like start doing that. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Wow.
And it's like, I could probably wash windows on the weekends and make the same amount of money with my Ford Escort from 1998. Like I'm not, so it's like, and nobody really talked about this a whole lot for the last couple of years because of COVID and everybody came out and hitting her. But now all of a sudden it's like it hit everybody right in the face this summer. And a lot of big projects got canceled that were supposed to be kicking off, and concrete went down, asphalt went down.
Layoffs.
And man, people are just all a little scared, and there's a feeling coming on the ground. And that's what, like, you know, I don't want to talk political, but man, it's like a football coach. Like you got to rally the troops. Like you talk about that, man. You could have like, you know, a team of like the biggest, most unbelievable people. And if they're not in the good mood, they're going to go out and get their ass stomped on Sunday. Or you have a bunch of young kids that are small and they're fired up and they have something to die for. They'll go out and smack them guys around. You can see it all day long. Yeah. And like right now, business owners are like a little scared. We don't want to hire. We're not buying. Everybody's just a little bit, and there's an impact. And they're not talking about it on the news because nobody gives a shit. Nobody's down interviewing business owners. Huh. And they're trying, what's wrong with the economy? Well, fucking ask somebody. Go down and line up 20 business owners and line them up and say, what's wrong right now? And see what they say. You know, it's like, you know, my truck tires were $120. Now they're $320. You know, I can go down the list. You know, I go buy a dump truck. It used to be 60 grand. Now they're 120, doubled. I don't know where this index comes from of the inflation. Oh, inflation's up 14%. What? It's up 214. When something doubles in price, that's 100. Yeah, no. Well, shit tripled.
No, that's all facade
like,
numbers.
What are you talking about?
They're
all facade numbers. Like the 360,000 jobs that they just added or whatever. Yeah, they added 360,000 jobs, but they were part-time. Meanwhile, 1.5 million full-time jobs weren't there anymore. Right. Yeah. Why aren't they talking about that shit? Because they want positive numbers. They're looking for that constant positive, but they're not 80-20. They're more like 40-60 or
and that's what's
like
going
that.
On. Yeah. Same thing with the trucks. Like we can talk about it real quick. It's the same thing. Government stuck their nose in. Okay. So now all these trucks have emissions. Everything's emissions.
Radiator fluid.
It's like you gotta have this catalytic converter and all these sensors that cost $20,000. Same truck. Same 4 tires. It still says D, N, and R, you know, on the shift. Same everything. But somehow there's $20,000 worth of shit on there. Now, guess what keeps breaking?
The $20,000 worth of shit that's on
And guess what's going on? There's no parts to fix it. Right. So now you're buying these new trucks and a sensor puts the truck into limp mode and you got this $120,000 truck sitting there because you need a goddamn sensor that they don't have.
Oh my
and that's what's going on with these triaxles. These triaxles, they're all making them these new emissions on them. They can't get it. I have a guy that has 3 $250,000 Peterbilt sitting in his parking lot waiting for sensors.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
They don't talk about that. Nobody's hearing about that.
Wow.
We're talking about it now.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. It's like people need to understand what's happening and why people are freaking out.
Well, look, I just saw something online. I don't eat the shit, but two or three French fries and two milkshakes were like $30 at McDonald's. Or some shit like that. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Well, look at you go to a fucking like Jersey Mike's or something like that. A hoagie's over $10.
Oh yeah,
a burger's over $10.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to Tony's Lunch in Gerardville, where that was more expensive, one of the most expensive burgers, or Danny Schneider's. I'm a North of the Mountain guy. Sorry, or Danny Schneider's, where it was expensive, and it's like double or triple that now.
Yeah.
Chendo.
I'm not from Chendo. But anyway,
Chendo.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything's expensive. Everything's gone up in price. Grocery bills, everything is just astronomical.
Yeah, and what's crazy is it's cheaper to actually eat at home now than to go and get the fast food, which is a good thing, really. But
we should see a healthy America.
It's hurting America because that's what we're used to.
Yeah, and I don't know, unfortunately, the people that are trying to fix it aren't from the areas that need fixing.
Yeah. They don't care.
Well,
That's the other problem.
We were talking about this. I mean, I make a decent living. So I feel disconnected. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it's like to not know if I'm going to have enough money at the end of the week to feed my family. Like, that's far. I never think about food and buying food. Like, that's far fetched for me. So I'm disconnected from people that actually have to struggle with that. Oh man, I need an extra $100 for food this week. You know what I mean? So if I'm disconnected, I'm a thousandaire.
Yeah.
If I'm disconnected, then these elites that have never even worked a real job and stayed in politics their whole life and stuff, how, like you said, how are they making decisions to try to make it better here when they're so disconnected that they have a $30,000 refrigerator that's normally, or that they usually spend $40,000 on, but they didn't have enough money, so they bought a $30,000.
A lot of good ideas, not ideas on how to execute them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh, every single engine's going to be, we're going to have all solar, everything. All right. Well, you know, my combine that cuts all the corn down to feed the whole country has a diesel engine. Did you get a solar powered combine yet? No. Well, you better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they run all night long. And you need to figure that out soon. And that's where these problems are. These people are too disconnected. They're making these giant decisions for this country.
Yeah. Well, look at the electric buses in New York. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Gosh. And then not only that, but they're talking about the grids and stuff for the electric car. One of these electric truck manufacturers or factories are going to need their own coal plant.
Yeah.
What?
For the factory.
Holy shit.
Their own coal plant to get the energy just to build these cars. Like, where's the emission?
But also what's going on, like right now too, it's inflation.
Yep.
People aren't making enough money, so they're striking to get better pay. So like, really, you want to go all the way back down through it. The reason why Ford's not going to have any parts now for the next 3 months, because the Ford part plant is on strike, goes all the way back to let's print money and not listen to anybody. And then that happens. So now Ford goes, all right, screw this. We're going to go to non-union states. And now all of a sudden, the people who want more money aren't going to have a job at all in 5 years, all because of the government printing off money. And people just don't see, like, you got to listen to the economic people when they're telling you you're going to ruin the economy.
Yeah.
That's why they're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like, and that's one thing, like, you know, like I know when I'm not right and who to listen to. You know, and that's like something you really need to like figure out in life. Like, you know, if you're sick, you go to the doctor because he knows how to fix you.
Yeah.
You know, the country needs shit that needs to get fixed. You know, don't tell the guy from the city who's never been in a car how to tell everybody how to make cars.
Yeah, yeah.
It just doesn't work. And that's where we have a problem. You know, we do. And government doesn't, for some reason, get better because there's no way to lose your job. Doesn't make
consequences
sense.
or
So like, yeah, if you put people in charge in the private sector, they had to fight to the top. They had to get to the top. And there was a consequence if they messed up. So the people on that side are way better off, you know, than the people on this side. And it's because they had to get there by sacrifices. So therefore they're better. I mean, it's just, it's like football. I mean, guys that work harder get to play, and the guys that work the hardest are on the best teams. And you just look down through that your whole life, and that's not what they're following. And that's why I think there's a problem. I do.
Yeah. And not
I
to
mean,
mention,
to get off the rails on that, but that's,
no.
I'm in agreement.
No. Yeah.
I'm anti. The government is not here for you. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the conversation, obviously. But that's probably another one.
Yeah. And they're destroying small business.
Yes,
for sure. Like we're trying to hire people, and nobody wants to work at our place for the $15 that they can make at McDonald's doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're still just a small company. We got to raise our prices, and then people aren't buying because they don't have the money. It's all just a loop.
Just a cycle.
Yep.
That is just made to separate classes and destroy middle.
Yeah.
It really is.
No, it's not, I don't see it getting easier right now.
No.
At least for the next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least for the next year, and then it's going to take a recovery.
Massive.
That's going to be at least 1 to 2 year recovery, depending on who gets in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Anything's better than what we have.
At the end of the day, it doesn't.
Well,
Yeah. Don't say anything. Yeah. So
we're talk about purpose here, right? What gives you purpose in your life?
What gives me purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think just like not dying. I think that's like my biggest thing that's like all of a sudden like really hit me hard. Like, man, like I gotta like make sure like there's like a limit now all of a sudden that was set. So like I gotta make sure that like I leave the best mark on this planet before I go, and like I don't want my kids to hate me when I'm gone. You know? And I know like a lot that drives me is like pride for the people who aren't here anymore. Like I'm still over at my farm making sure the grass is mowed because my grandfather gave me my first job when I was 9 was to mow the grass over there. You know, the president of the fishing club over there, because my grandfather was the president of the fishing club. I'm over there still mowing the grass. I'm over at the gun club still taking care of the place. I'm like up here at Gears because Bill Gears suffered his whole life trying to make this place something. I'm damned if I'll not make it great like he wanted it to, you know? And I think like being able to really, really have pride in what people wanted before you came, and then try to pray to God that like when I'm gone, somebody does the same thing for me that I'm doing for these people. You know, like I want one of my kids to love hunting so that they don't sell all this shit to Cabela's someday. As soon as my, you know, I'm the fucking chamber closes over my head when the casket's in the ground. Like I want somebody to like not forget me. You know,
Firing.
Legacy.
Like I set my company already. Now I went and set up my company. I like if I would croak, like half of it would be given to the employees and have an employee-owned company so that the damn thing could keep going. You know, it doesn't have my name on the side, you know, but I want it to be here for all the people that, you know, I don't want to like, you know, we built this damn barn. You know, I want people to be in this thing for the next 50 years, figuring out shit to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like why do it then?
Just for it to fall apart and be another broken down
like I want to
at
least do the best I can. You know, again, you know, there could be a volcano and the whole place can get melted down someday. We don't know about it. You know, there could be some, you know, giant disaster that, you know, obviously, or aliens, we know, who knows, but
anthracite vein could catch fire in Ashland, just burn it all up.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like hoping that at least beyond some crazy thing happening, you know, that's my purpose. Really try to make sure there's something left behind. You know, drive to keep going when I'm not here. How's that?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well said.
Or creating a good legacy.
Yeah.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying my best, man. You know,
you do a lot for your employees and some of the things you do a lot for the community. And just for an example, like, you know, you go above and beyond for us because you help us in our times of need, not just, and it doesn't benefit you financially, but it benefits you because in return you get loyalty.
Yeah. A happy group of guys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's real simple. Everybody's happy. That's all I know. That's all I wanted. You know what I mean? Like you said, the kids are fed, you know, fuel in the truck. Everybody's happy. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. I could have all the money in the world if everybody here wanted like hate my guts. Like, would you? What's the point? Yeah. What's the point?
I know businesses like that in School County. They're thriving, but not good people and not well liked.
Yeah. Right. And what's the quality of their life like then? So you're a successful man. So I want to know, do you have any habits that you have that have helped you to become successful for your health or well-being?
Find a beer.
Whoa! Cut that out. Cut that out, Francisco.
Yeah. No, I would say the most important thing is like find a cheap beer that you can drink a lot of and doesn't give you a hangover. I think that's the most. I like, let's see. I drink a lot of water. I think that's super important, man. Like drink like 2 gallons a day, piss every hour, make sure it's clear. I know it sounds stupid. I eat a lot of breakfast foods. Love breakfast foods. And then the other thing is like, I know a lot of guys are like this, but I think it's dumb. Like go to the fucking doctor every year and get a physical.
Oh,
like literally go get some blood work done. See if something's wrong. There's so much shit that's preventative. There's such a big, you know, there's a lot of technology out there. Like if there's anything to give me an extra minute on this earth, like I want to be able to do that. You know?
We talk about that a lot here actually too, with working out and stuff. And Frank always says that he's looking, you know, we're still looking up the hill. He's looking down the hill now, but he always talks about, well, God, you can tell him about your opportunity cost of time, what your time left.
Everything's an opportunity cost. I learned that in economics for a little bit of college. But yeah, everything's an opportunity cost. So the way I look at it is, if I'm going to take time to do this, what's the cost of me doing that? So I try to maximize. I don't feel guilty for skipping out on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. And then like, I also think like pay attention to shit. Like, all right, my pants are tight. Maybe I should lose 30 pounds. You know, like if something's saying something ain't right, like pay attention to it, you know, and that goes with everything. But like, that's like keeping myself, I have to be in good shape all the time, mentally and physically, to be where I'm at. Like you have to be. Like I can't, you know, and I can't afford to get like sick. I have to be here, you know, and I think like just taking care of yourself's like just a big important part. If you want to be in front of the train, you know, you better be on the tracks. Like you really need to be, man. You really need to be on it, you know. But yeah, that's my I was gonna say, and like I said, just going back to paying attention to things, failures, you know, being able to see what people did that didn't work out. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I was very fortunate enough. Like I don't realize it. I didn't realize it at first, but like 90% of the way I think is like from like playing football. I like the team. I was on a losing team. Had like to put the nicest coach ever. Literally, like I take a bullet for it. We were 3-7, and we went to being best team ever and undefeated. And I know the difference between that coach did things and the new coaches did. How the guys felt, how they didn't feel, and what made us play like we did. And yeah, I was very fortunate. I was the captain of that team, was a leader, and then went on to be the captain of the all-star team and able to be with these great groups of guys and to see what made them what. And like, I didn't realize that at the time what I was learning through football until years later. I'm like, everything I do, I'm like recreating a football team in a way. You know, hard work pays off. The harder you work, the harder you're get stronger. You're going to be stronger. You're be the more ass you're going to kick on Friday night. Like but I got to see not working hard and losing and working out every night till you literally couldn't walk up, you know, your steps to get home. And then we won though too.
Right.
So, like I got to actually see hard work paying off. It happened to me. So like I knew there was light at the end of the tunnels when you were doing the shit you were doing, you know, working all night long, you know, and where it would get you.
Yeah.
Very lucky. I was very, very lucky, super lucky to be able to experience success early on my own.
Yeah.
To know that it can happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that is such a key thing. So I have 4 boys and I have them play sports, and literally the difference once they realize they can do something and they can be successful at it, it's like a whole switch flips.
Yeah.
And you get the understanding. You realize all the hard work you put in can pay off. And I think that's something very important that you touched on right there. That makes a lot of sense.
I saw a quote the one time. It was like, lazy people do a little bit of work and wonder why they're not winning. Winners do a lot of work and they still worry if they're being lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of quotes, and do you have any that really kind of hit hard for you that you live by or anything, or movies or books?
Yeah. No, I remember, I one time watched an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger about weightlifting. And he's like,
when he was like, I'm coming at home, I'm coming in the gym, I'm coming everywhere.
I saw that one. I saw that one. No, it wasn't that. He said, all right, he goes, when I went to like lift weights, I would try to lift a weight that I almost knew I wasn't going to be able to lift. And I would fail at lifting it. But then I had to work twice as hard to lift it. So for me to have a success, I had to fail first, which is completely whacked out. Like he knows going into it, I'm going to fail right now. That's the only way I'm going to know how to succeed. And I remember I'm like, holy shit. Now I can't fail because failing is going to cost me money, but it's gratifying to know that there's people out there that know sometimes you're not going to win right now, which that's one thing. My other quote, my favorite quote, which is mine, like, if you want to be at the tip of the spear, you must remain sharp. Ooh. That's something you need to think about all the time. You know, like I have habits and I like to do things, but I also know when to cut them off because I know the next day I got to get up at 5:30 to do something. You know, that's like important. Like you got to be able to like limit yourself. You can have fun doing whatever the hell you want. Just don't let it control you.
Moderation.
Dang.
You know, and, you know, that's like one of my big ones. And like my other favorite one, like I always think it's like the most important thing that you can like really like almost like the pizza thing I told you, Sal told me is like, a captain isn't great. A captain isn't a great captain when sailing through calm seas. Captain is a great captain when he navigates through the storm. And that is like important. Like these guys know, like I can come down here. They don't even need to say a word to me. If everything's going good, we got a nice week. Everything's good, son. We're pounding out work. But like shit's going sideways. This broke down, or they're calling for a 3-foot snowstorm coming up. Like that's when I like jump into high gear. And like for some reason, like the crazier shit gets, I have some guys that just melt down and like can't see through more than like 4 or 5 guys, and then they freak out. Or like the more shit that's going sideways, like the better I think I can perform. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can like get better and can like push when shit gets sideways. It gives me a rush.
Wow. I can vouch for that. He said that quote probably 700 times since I started working here.
It's a try. Like people like the truck broke down. Like people like freak. I'm like, calm down. Nobody's gonna even ask you again to do anything if this is what's gonna happen to you when shit goes sideways. They need somebody that's gonna like calm it down. You know, all right, we're down by 2 touchdowns. Are you gonna come back and win the game, or are you gonna sit here and fucking cry on the bench? You know, it's like the same thing. Yeah. Like, who do you want? Do you want a winner, or you want a guy that's gonna puss out and lose? Yeah. Seriously, that's what you need, and that's the guys that make it.
Yeah, and I had an incident the one time I was driving a truck and a trailer down 78, and I remember so I hit a bump and the hitch actually snapped. It broke and the trailer dropped to the road, and luckily I had everything hooked up. One in a gazillion.
Yeah,
like it was
this
like,
is why you have safe. This is a perfect example of why you do everything right. Yeah. That when that happens, nobody dies.
Act the guy, you know. So I pulled over to the side of the road and I called Dan and I said, "Hey, this happened." He sent a guy out with a brand new hitch. We jacked it back up, got it on, and we were at our job site within an hour.
Didn't even talk about it.
Didn't even talk about it. Just moved on, you know, because but if it, like we talked about it later. Like if it had been, you know, there was a couple other drivers that we had at the time. They're not with us anymore. They company. So, but if it would have been any of those guys, we don't think that. I don't think they would have been able to handle it like that. Things would have happened. They could have slammed into like a guardrail, or you know, they would have packed up and went home. Like you just have to have the right people in the right positions to be able to.
Yeah. And I think that mindset is rare, because it takes me back to a Chinese proverb. Rare is the flower that blooms in adversity.
Yeah.
So it was a good quote. Okay. I don't care if it was
the only quotes I get are in the Chinese fortune cookies. Right. And my lucky numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have kids, all right? I get a lot of Disney.
I'm good with it. I cried like 15 times when I watch Moana. Man, I just...
Which part?
All of them. Like the whole grandmother thing. With oh my God, I lose my mind.
That she's dead the whole time?
No.
Like the Matrix kind
of?
Yes,
and that the stone is keeping her alive, and as soon as she gives the stone to Moana, she dies and takes her life away. Yeah. Yes, I have seen that.
That's insane.
Why would you even do that?
Why now you're gonna watch it?
Yeah, because as soon as she gives her the stone, she goes, and sits down like she's already exhausted. Watch it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that blew my mind. that literally
put it on when I get home.
Yeah.
My daughter will like the singing, so
the new thing,
excuse.
The new thing we have is Nightmare Before Christmas. She loves Jack.
Oh, they're good.
My 2-year-old loves Jack.
They're 20 years old now, aren't they? Maybe older.
I think 20 years old.
That might be. Hold on. Hold on. I can tell you, I was like 11.
That came out in the 90s. Yeah,
that's 30 years ago. Yeah. That's right.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that old.
Really that old?
Yeah. I saw it in theaters. Dude.
So did I. I went to see it. I'm telling you, I'm thinking I was little. Yeah.
Schuylkill Mall. Okay, that was a long time ago.
That place.
Oh, it's a warehouse.
Is it?
Yeah, so I got a lot of play in that mall.
Yeah, me too. That's
dance part.
What you did? You went up to the mall and just walked around for 4 hours.
Yeah, I walked to the mall from Frackville.
Yeah,
that's right.
There's even a path up through the woods to get to the top and everything. Hell
yeah.
Calls are a
Friday
dying
night,
thing.
man.
They're not a thing anymore.
No,
Not around here.
our kids will never get to experience that.
Oh.
Literally.
You go to the mall Friday night, hanging out with
go to
your
the game
buddies,
rooms.
game
Right.
rooms.
Walking around. It's
Ah.
great.
Yeah, like,
Chick-fil-A.
Arcades. I mean,
when I
that's
first
the
started my
arcade.
business, I did not want to have a cell phone. I was anti-cell phone because they give you brain cancer.
Yeah,
Oh,
remember
wow.
that? Yep.
I remember
And
I had
I
to
used to,
patch 'em.
I used to leave work and drive home and sit down for an hour from like 12 to 1, and I'd listen to my messages on the answer machine.
On the answering machine.
And then call everybody back. I had like a whole process to like when I went home and did all that. And like that's like, you know, like you said, blow your mind shit. Like
Most kids don't even know what an answering machine is.
no.
No,
They have
most
no
of them don't
clue.
even
Yeah.
set their own voicemails up.
No.
Yeah.
Learning, you guys are learning about slider boxes. You know what a slider box is?
Oh, I did.
For the cable television. Remember those back in the day, the slider boxes to get a legal HBO?
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Yeah, see, you know what a slider box is.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that shit.
I still remember turning the satellite dish knob and the satellite dish in the backyard going, meow. The big satellite dishes that everybody used to have. Remember them things? You know what I mean? Like two, and the same thing, you had the antenna. And it was like, oh, we're going to watch, news. We got to watch 6 News, channel 6 News. And you like have to turn the antenna. It would like meet on the roof. And it like, and it would like come in real clear. Like I still remember doing that. Like people like,
That's
what?
I
funny.
remember that.
I think I must have come in after that. I had bunny ears.
Yeah.
I remember bunny ears.
Oh,
On the back
yeah.
of the TV.
Yeah. Well, we had ones that plugged in, but
Well, they're saying that tradesmen's down big time, like welders,
Yeah.
electricians, truck drivers.
Well, that's why
Obviously.
it's good for us. Like I said, I can get what I want for a lot of projects because there's nobody else to compete against me. Now, I do think a little bit, it scares me because like when I started, you could go down to Reading or whatever and you could pick up some immigrant workers for $5 an hour under the table. That scares me. Like again, talking political, that's why I don't want the people coming across that are coming across because they'll just take jobs that people should have here for a higher wage. So they're just going to take them.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary. I'm old fashioned and I don't think we were just joking about all that stuff. Like, when I was a kid, I lost my father when I was young and I was raised by my grandparents and the people that I had a couple different dads and my uncle that were all like the father figures in my life. They were all from the last generation. Like I was raised 2 generations ago in a way.
Yep.
And I got to see, like I said, like you're missing football practice tonight because you got to get the hay in the barn, literally, because it's going to rain tomorrow. We'd stay up all night baling hay, getting it in the barn. And then 3 months later, I'd go to the hay auction and see the Amish guy pull out the hay and smell it to make sure if it was musty or not, if it got wet. So our dry hay got more money. Like that shit, these kids aren't going to see that stuff to understand that. You got to stay up all night sometimes to get the job done because you got to get it. You can't just let it sit out and get rained on tomorrow because you want to go to bed. You got to get it done. The kids' football teams, all the things that's good. You talk to the coaches, like it's a scary time coming up. It's going to be far and few between to have the good old boys that are going to be there like we were.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yep. And I wasn't raised by the generations you're talking about. I was raised maybe like a generation after.
Yeah.
But even still, I have the initiative. I'll sleep when it's done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are missing that. And a lot of people are missing hardships. So, I mean, I had a lot of hardships growing up and so I know what it's like to encompass and appreciate what I have when it's not sucking.
Yeah.
Compared to, having everything given to me on a silver platter and never enduring the suck for me to appreciate the non-suck.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You can't ever get too excited when things are good because soon enough they're going to be bad.
Oh yeah.
Like that's you got to stay level. Like don't spend too much because we're not going to have anything to spend. Those guys aren't seeing that, man. And then when they do, it might be bad. Like it's going to wipe them out kind of shit. I don't know. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me here today. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I could
coming,
talk for
man.
another
Hell yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah,
It was great.
Yeah, you can do this all the time.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dan.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Join us next time, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.